So good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today to this webinar, which is all about Copilot Agents. I think agent is the word on everyone's lips, so we wanted to really take a deep dive into the capabilities of Copilot Agents with you today. I'm pleased to say I'm joined by not just one, but two guests. I've got Leon and Alex with me. My name's Jeremy, by the way. Leon, would you perhaps like to start by introducing yourself?
Yes, thank you, Jeremy. So I'm Leon Armston. I'm a content AI lead at Intelligy. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in content AI, and yeah, looking forward to this webinar today.
And I'm Alex Franklin. I'm the head of modern work here. I work very closely with both Jeremy and Leon on a number of things, and very much looking forward to delving into all things agent today.
Thanks for both being here with me today. I've brought the big guns out, as you can see. So this is our agenda for today. This is actually part 2 of a series. So if you missed part 1, we'll share the recording of that with you if you're interested. We're going to do a very quick recap on that. So our first webinar in the series was really an introduction to Copilot and exploring its broad range of capabilities. Today, much deeper dive into the agents and how they can work for you. So we'll start by kind of setting the scene on what an agent is all about. And then we're going to look at 4 different use cases. So we tried to think about the different things they could do for people. We created a few different examples. We're going to be kind of demonstrating stuff in real time. Leon's going to be showing how he created some things. We'll be honest with you, there's chances that stuff could go wrong. So, bear with us if that does happen. But, I think it's great for you to see the workings of Copilot and some of the agent capabilities. So, yeah, we're going to show you all of that as we go through today. And then towards the end, we'll talk about how we can potentially help you on your Copilot journey if you're interested in getting started. And if you have any questions for us as we go through, please do add those in the control panel on your right-hand side. We'll either cover them kind of as you ask them, or maybe towards the end, depending on how much time we have and what you ask as we go through. But I just thought I'd start by introducing Intelligy for those of you that don't know us. We're a cloud solutions partner, a Microsoft partner with a really broad offering, so a real end-to-end digital transformation service that we can offer our customers. We've got a specialism in a couple of areas you can see on the slide on the right hand side there, and our different teams and practices that our business is split into on the left hand side. I won't go through all of our capabilities because there's a lot we can help you with, but Alex's area of modern work covers teamwork and employee experience, so that's things like intranets and Viva and Teams, collaboration tools. We have an area of our business that's very much more focused on knowledge management, records management, those kind of things. Leon's area is obviously all around content AI and the latest AI tools to surface your content. And then we have a team that can build applications as well to meet specific business requirements you might have. Our cloud platform and security team is all about your security of your data, your identity management, those kind of things. And then we also have a managed services team that can help you, protect the return on investment in your Microsoft technology. So lots we can help you with, and we'll cover some other topics of those through future webinars, I'm sure. So yeah, as I said, we did another webinar that we'll send a link to, but Alex, perhaps if you could just kind of give us a bit of a recap of what we covered last time.
Absolutely. So the first webinar that we did, which, as Jeremy said, we're happy to share, it's also available on our YouTube channel and via our website. But what we did in that one was we started at the beginning. We covered some of the basics and worked our way up. We demonstrated using Copilot chat in the browser. We moved on to then see it working within applications and showed some different use cases. So we showed taking large documents and then asking Copilot to summarize some key points. We generated a presentation from a document and then modified it with Copilot. We took some of the pain out of Excel formulae by going into Excel and having Copilot do the work for us and show us the formula, but apply it for us and do everything, save us time. We also went into SharePoint, and we used Copilot in SharePoint to interrogate our company benefits and ask questions about them. From there, we then touched briefly on agents. So we created a very straightforward agent that points to our policies and procedures, published it in Teams, and then asked questions directly from Teams to get exactly what we wanted. And it was all straightforward and thankfully worked just as well as I'm sure today will. After we went through that, we then spoke about the licensing flavors and costs. Jeremy demonstrated some return on investment calculations to show how much you can get back from this, how good it really is, the value it provides. And then we touched upon a very important point that we will touch upon again today as well, which is readiness. And the fact that you can't just turn this on, throw it out there and have at it. You need to make sure you've got your house in order before you give people the keys. And so, like I said, we did touch briefly on agents, showing the basics. And now with Leon, we're going to delve much deeper. And before we do, I'll just give a quick bit of background to what an agent is for those that maybe are unsure at this point. So an agent is a number of things. It can be very small, very quick. It can be very large and very complex and very advanced. So you can have no-code agents, low-code agents, or pro-code agents. And in a nutshell, an agent really is something that is a targeted, specialized assistant that we create. So we can focus it on particular areas of information and then interrogate that to get answers back. Like I said before, we focused one on policies and procedures, for example. We can then take that further. So we can use multiple sources of knowledge. We can extend it to third-party systems. So we might extend it out to look at things like ServiceNow, Salesforce, Workday, whatever it might be, to then use multiple sources to build a story, build a bigger picture to help us with the information. And then the next step after that is automating our business processes. We can use it to take our long-winded processes, simplify them, and build it into something that feels like we're working with another member of the team. Take it, fully automate it. And this can be organization-wide agents. It can be agents deployed to different departments, or we can have people just create agents for themselves, stuff that makes their lives easier. And so with that, I will hand over to Mr. Armston to start his part.
Thank you. So today is all about agents. So we're going to focus on Copilot agents and SharePoint agents. So Copilot agents, just a summary of those, they are available within the Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot interface. They can interact with other facets of Microsoft 365. They can link out to external systems. Whereas SharePoint agents, they are focused on your files, your organizational knowledge. So they are using all the great benefits that Microsoft have done, tuning the LLMs, so you can do all that request and that prompt framework, but it's focused on files. You can't then do like workflows out to external systems or call an email action. We will go into more of the licensing later, but yeah, typically you need a Copilot license for both agents, or there are pay-as-you-go options. We're going to touch a little bit here on the extensibility story for Copilot. So you have the concepts of declarative agents, customer engine agents, and then the third point is Microsoft Graph connectors, but that is bringing external content in, but you also have the ability from these agents to connect to other stuff, other line of business systems on demand and plug that into your agent. So declarative agents is, like I said, that is using the Microsoft 365 Copilot framework that has been built for the LLMs, that stays within the Microsoft 365 Copilot interface, whereas custom engine agents, that's more pro code. So you might have an agent still interfacing with your Microsoft 365 concept, but you might be using like a different language model. You might be using something from the Azure Foundry that's like is not an OpenAI model, or you've tuned an existing OpenAI model. So that gives you more control, like the more pro code approach.
So let's jump into some use cases and some demonstrations. This is give the people what they want to see. So use case one, this first example is an employee wellbeing agent. So the vast majority of intranets that we build here have some semblance of a well-being hub of sorts. So a place we can go to that provide information on well-being both mentally and physically, advice for stress or anxiety, all these different things. So we have this scenario, we have all this information, but the challenge here is how can agents maybe take that to the next level? How can it become something that we go to speak to then action and get the help that we want if we need it? Leon, all yours.
Thank you. So I just change my screen. So as Alex just said, we're focusing on an employee wellbeing agent. We are focusing on Copilot Studio wellness agents here, but it could also be done in SharePoint using SharePoint agents, but you do not have the ability to escalate. So in Copilot, I'll just show you our agents here. So we have an agent that's available on the right-hand side, and we have some suggested prompts to help our employees describe how they're feeling. So we're just going to say feeling stressed, and we can see down the left-hand, down at the bottom that there is some text here. So if we enter that, what this agent is doing is it's looking to a FAQ document where we've compiled frequent mental health information along with steps to overcome those. So we can see that it's given us some advice about you feeling stressed. And I also wanted to show this example that we could then reach out confidentially here. So we could reach out confidentially to our mental health first aid officer. We can then continue chatting, get further advice about mental health issues, or we can click yes. This will then escalate this and send an email to the mental health first aid officer. So this was all done as a maker, so there's no pro code or anything in here, but we can see that the email has now been sent. So I just want to show how this is put together and how creating agents using Copilot Studio is not so much about logic and decision trees like you would have used to have done, like say in Power Automate. If this happens, then do this, do this. Now you are doing it in plain text. So we're giving it description about the AI. We are then giving it some instructions. So provide advice and detailed guidance. Provide at least one paragraph with saying the sentiment, offering compassion. We're allowing them to reach out, offering the option to reach out to a mental health first aid officer. And then we've got, if yes, send an email to the employee mental health first aid officer. And if no, so now anybody can come, well, anyone that has edit permissions to this can come in and change this and prompt. They've not got to like drag things and add actions, for example. So how this is also done, we can see our knowledge source is looking at that FAQ document, but that could be a SharePoint site, that could be some knowledge in Dataverse, this could use content from the internet. It can also call external APIs as well, so if we've got an external website.
It's also worth noting as well, you see that part there where it says allow the AI to use its own general knowledge. We can turn that off so that we know it's focused on just the knowledge we want it to focus on.
Just that up. And we've got one action here to send an email to the employee mental health first aid officer. So I want to show you how this is all done. We can see that we've named it a specific action, and then we've got a description. So we've not got to like configure a action like say in Power Automate to with a decision tree. It says this operation sends an email message to the mental health first aid officer with a summary of how the employee is feeling and advice given. So if we scroll down here, we can see the email text. Apologies, we can't expand this box here, but this is the layout of the email. We've then not got to change the to field. It's like dynamically filling it from these instructions that we are giving here. So we can see that the action, this send an email, is exactly what we had there. But there is lots of actions that we could call. So we could call out to SharePoint, or we could use triggers to trigger the agent autonomously if an event happened somewhere else in your Microsoft 365. We then have some starter prompts. Again, we can edit them. How this was all created. So this is Microsoft's new Maker interface, is where you use prompts to create an agent. So if I just go to new agent, we have a chat interface to type how we want this agent to be created. So if I just grab some text from my clipboard, and then if I paste that there, so I'm just saying how I want this agent.
I only took half the paragraph.
I did, yeah, there we go.
The demo gods shining on us.
So just restart that.
But it's a good opportunity to show that feature because I didn't know that existed.
Okay. So I'm just saying I want a wellness agent designed to answer FAQs about wellness, provide resources, and allow employees the opportunity to contact the employee mental health first aid. So what this is doing is, from your text, it's understanding as a human and compiling these instructions that we have up here in our working example. So as a chat interface, we keep talking to this. So we're happy with the suggested name, wellness assistant, but then it's asking us further questions. And what we're doing when we're going through the questions is we're further iterating these instructions here. Then we can create it, and then we get our instructions. But then we can fine tune it here. But the thing to get your head around here is, like I said earlier, it's no longer big decision trees of dragging components. You're doing it all in text instructions here, and these descriptions are key.
It's like you're asking a teammate to do something for you.
Exactly. So it's very easy to get started with creating Copilot Studio agents. The agents are also available within Teams as well. So people can consume them in Copilot or Teams as well. So now let me go back to the slides, and we'll just talk about our next example.
Yeah, it's brilliant, Leon. It's a really powerful use case, isn't it? I think anyone who is struggling, any encouragement to reach out to someone would be really valuable.
And I think psychologically as well, that point about how the agent will do it for you. Sometimes the hardest thing is to ask for help.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so having an agent reach out on your behalf to the appropriate mental health first aider, so they contact you.
Yeah,
it's easier to be approached than it is to approach, isn't it?
Yeah. Great example. So the next one we're going to look at is around trying to find knowledge, basically. So this one's going to be looking at a public website rather than any kind of internal resources. So imagine you're going to a website, you're needing to find some information. We all visit sites, I'm sure, that take too long to find what we're looking for. Recent example, we were speaking to a law firm that wanted potential clients of theirs to come to their website and find some information about the kind of scenario that they might be looking to work with that particular law firm with, and also find some information about their lawyers really quickly. So it's a good example, and we're just going to show you a similar example using our website, I think, Leon.
Yes, thank you. So let me just share the screen. So we can now see the IntelliJ website agent. So this agent is grounded on our website and our website only. So we can ask it questions. So our salespeople could ask it about what case studies we've done, like what technologies, what sectors we've done them in. So we've got some suggested prompts. So I'm just going to not use the suggested prompts and just ask a question. I don't know, let's case studies about intranets. So this is now crawling our website, and it will return our case studies that we've done about intranets. So we can now see some of the case studies we've done, and now I'll just show you this agent working. But we can see what it's returned, references, for example. So we can click and be taken to those case study pages.
I'd say the feeling of relief when a live demo works on these.
Yeah. So again, we can see the similar concept as well. We can see that there is a description that we've typed, and then we can see some instructions. So we can see provide sales employees with easy access and understanding. So a bit more about the intent. We can say respond with at least 300 words, and then what I've also done is told it how to format it. So we can see ensure both clients and sectors are highlighted in bold. We can tell that we're telling the agent where to look in, like the specific URLs of the pages, for example. This was quite straightforward. Our clients have had great success in website agents, and we had an example of a law company that wanted to have an agent on their website that was targeted at that website, but they wanted it so the people that had the ability to ask questions about the website, and the AI is understanding and reading that content as a human to be able to then provide better answers to the people. So we have the ability to publish this agent that we've created to a whole heap of applications, not just Teams. We can publish it to custom websites, mobile apps, and you can see there's a lot of options there.
I've seen plenty of opportunities with this in education as well, where there are very, very comprehensively populated sites and people want to go and they've got a specific question, and using this in something like that would be great.
Yeah, great.
So we'll move back to the slides now.
Where are they?
Okay. So our next scenario, then, we're going to focus on SharePoint agents this time. So imagine that you're looking in a SharePoint site on your internal systems and looking to find some information to maybe build another document from. So the scenario we're going to explore is around tender responses. Imagine that you're creating lots of tender responses like we do, and it might be good to look at what good looks like from an existing response, get the structure right, to get the tone of voice right. So can we look at those existing documents and check our new document against them?
Thank you. So within SharePoint, we've created an RFP agent. So we have we've received some RFP documents, and now we want to use an agent to help us respond to that RFP. So we've got the welcome to the IntelliJ RFP agent. So we can use this to either create a template proposal response from an RFP document. So the idea is give our employees a head start on the headers and to respond to the RFP document, and then we also have it in the reverse where you can check a proposal that you've written against the RFP to make sure you've covered everything, or it gives you suggestions. So I'm just going to cross-reference an RFP document and create a template proposal response, and I'll show you how that's been made. So we can see I've got this suggested prompt here using the RFP, and then I'm just going to /reference a file. So I'm going to look for an RFP document here. So So we can see in our prompt here, we're referencing this fintech RFP. So now we can click send, and we're sending it. So what this is doing is looking at that RFP document, and then it's formulating a RFP response with some guidance to our employees on how to get started. So yeah, we found that it's really, really good to often, yeah, I find like it's really hard to just get started with a document. So this will give me a bit of a start to get started, and yeah, will show me some areas where I need to focus on. So I'll now just show how this is built. So this is all built within SharePoint. We've got a description telling the agent how to act. We've got it grounded on the RFP documents that we've got. We've got some example RFP documents in there of what good looks like. And then the behavior, this is where we're really tweaking and providing the instructions on how the RFP agent should behave. So I'm just going to expand the instructions here. So we can see we're talking to the computer here. So we're talking in Markdown here. So we're saying we're providing some instructions, provide some citations. We're saying do not look at your underlying large language model. We're saying some guidance, how to act. So act as an IT consultant, ensure the proposal covers all points in the RFP, ensure the proposal responds to the British English. And then we've got some response guidelines. So we're saying the headers typically used are, say, approach, engagement summary, quality assurance. But in that, we've told the AI what that section entails and how to get started. So then we can see it's a little bit grayed out on the right-hand side here, but we can see what the response was. So yeah, we've got lots of guidance there. But we've had great success and with our clients using SharePoint agents, not just as like a search tool on a site to find out what's buried in those documents, but also as a tool to help you build documents, be it statements of work, proposals, reports, and we found it really good referencing documents, like the reverse of like making sure we've covered everything that is stated in the RFP in our proposal, for example. So we're finding, yeah, these really powerful for building documents. We have the wellness FAQ agent here as well, but I'm not going to cover onto this, but this is similar to what we were doing in Copilot Studio, but with SharePoint, we can't have a workflow that then connects to Outlook to send an email or anything like that. So it doesn't allow our escalation feature.
Do you think that'll be something that comes in time?
So there is going to be, if we go back to, I won't go into it, but there is the ability that we are going to be add advanced customization in Copilot Studio here. So we will be able to do that. So we'll now just go on to our fourth example.
Yep. And this fourth example, while Leon loads that up, is related to a scenario we see quite commonly in a lot of areas. So in this example, we have a finance team. That finance team deals with a lot of incoming invoices, and it takes them a lot of time. They might just throw them all into a SharePoint document library and ask people to go and review and sign off, whatever it might be. There might be things that they have to do at the human level where an invoice might be over a certain value, and that means it's got to be escalated, all these things. And so the challenge here is, how can AI, or these systems make that a better process, make it a smoother process, but give us more information? And I think we might have told a tiny white lie at the start of this when we said this was all about agents. This isn't technically an agent, but it is still AI, and it is still a benefit that we see a lot of people getting excited about. And so, there you go, Leon.
Thank you. So I get really excited about this technology. SharePoint has been my thing for too many years to mention, and this is where I'm a Microsoft MVP in. But I wanted to show you this really cool technology called SharePoint Autofill. What this allows you to do is to have generative AI queries on columns, and then when you upload documents to the library, the query is then run against the document to say extract the invoice total, extract the invoice number, the seller address, the order date, for example. So whilst I'll show you how this is all configured, I'm just going to drop a document in the library so we can see it in action. So let me just go to just drag a document into here. So we're just uploading a document. We can see it doesn't have any metadata. So this will process, it'll take a couple of minutes. So hopefully by the time I finish talking, we will see that this has been processed and the values populated. So we'll now show you how a standard SharePoint column can now have generative AI prompts on it. So we see the standard column here, but we see this new section here called autofill, and we can begin to see the prompt. So if we edit the prompts, and again, we're all getting good or used to at least of doing prompts to AI. So we're telling it in plain English, extract the invoice number and add here. If no invoice number found, output no invoice number found. So what we're telling the AI is to read this document as a human, understand it, and then zone in on the invoice number here. So we can then test it against any of the documents in the library. So I'll just choose a invoice an invoice document, and we can see the result. This has extracted the document there.
Your metadata is populated as well.
Exactly. So we can see that this invoice that we've added has now been populated, and it's extracted the seller address example. So all of these columns have prompts against them. So it's this one, extract the order date, for example. But we've had great success in people being able to configure invoice libraries or other documents, and it's when I first started in my content AI journey about 3 years ago, it was lots of training with a large data set of documents. Now we're just doing this training on the fly, and I think this is some of Microsoft's best work in the SharePoint sphere.
It's come a long way, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. And now we've got this metadata. We can filter by, say, the demo gods are not going to let me filter.
We got so far.
Yeah, exactly. So we let me just check. We've got a little bit of time. Oh no, something's not working with SharePoint. Naughty SharePoints. But we could filter by invoice total, or use that monetary amount to have like a workflow behind the scenes. So if an invoice is received over 10,000, then it needs to go to the CEO for approval. Or what we find cool as well is all this metadata can then be visualized in Power BI. So you could have a report of like the invoices that have come in this month, and people don't need to then go in these documents and read them. So that was really cool. SharePoint Premium autofill. I'll now go back to my slides.
Right. So 4 kind of very different but very useful examples, hopefully there. And I'm sure you all have examples of things that you can think about within your organisation that could really help. So we'd love to hear, your ideas and your feedback. Probably just worth briefly touching upon licensing. Some of the licensing is a bit complicated, so we'll only touch upon this briefly. We talked last time in part 1 about the Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot license, that is, which is on a kind of per user basis, $30 per user per month. So that would include the use of these agents that Leon's just been showing. But there are pay-as-you-go options if you don't have that license model in place already. So Leon, perhaps just worth briefly touching upon those.
Thank you. So typically there is, if you've got a Microsoft 365 Copilot license, which is around $30 per user per month, then you can use Copilot Studio to create agents that can be published to Teams, SharePoint, and Microsoft 365 at no extra charge. If, like most organizations, not everybody's got Copilot, then you can have Copilot Studio pay-as-you-go. So people pay per message that they send and receive. So pay-as-you-go is charged per message, but the message charging is not quite so clear. It depends on the response that you receive. So it could be ones with images incur more messages, or the more complex your messages, more costs.
I think it's also down to where it's sourcing the information from. If it's going to the web, it's fine. But if you're sourcing data from an internal or an external system, that will class as a number of different messages. So it could be anything up to, say, 20 messages for one action, depending on what you're doing. Something like that.
Exactly. And you can buy message packs as well as pay-as-you-go options. SharePoint agents, again, high level. If you've got a Copilot license, you're good. But then there are pay-as-you-go messages available. You need to set up an Azure subscription and link that to your SharePoint environment. Typically, each interaction includes a question and answer. So you ask a question, it returns an answer. That uses typically 32 messages. And then where we've got, there's currently a promotion if you want to get started with SharePoint Agent. If you have 50 Copilot licenses, then you get up to 10,000 interactions.
Right, so how can IntelliJ help with this? If you wouldn't mind jumping forward one more. So we're in having a number of conversations with various different people about ways that we can help and ways that we can work with you. And all of the points on this slide really relate to starting with an AI strategy and helping to define that, helping to flesh it out, and then helping to implement it. And so along the timeline of this strategy, we can work with you to evaluate your existing processes and find those potential use cases. But importantly as well, when we're thinking about the change management and adoption, the quick wins, what's going to get people excited, what's going to get people on board. So those quick win areas that can also be high value as well to get people in. But as I mentioned in one of the earlier slides, it's also absolutely critical that you carry out the necessary readiness activities before you go out there with Copilot, making sure that your architecture is sound, making sure your governance is in place, making sure your security is right, so that you're not going to start oversharing. I think it's one of the biggest concerns that organizational leaders have is oversharing once things like this go into place. I forget what the percentage is of the surveys that Microsoft have done, but it's the number that's right up there. And everyone is very nervous about oversharing. So there are ways that we can work with you to make sure that the right actions are taken, to tidy things up, to lock things down that need to be, so that you are in a much safer position to go out there with this. Because with your strategy and with the deployment and the adoption of this, it's not just about getting agents out there that everyone's using. You can also get some great value from things like centers of excellence, empowering your staff to be able to create their own agents, not just have agents created for them. So everyone in an organization can have their own agent to do their own thing, their own assistant. And so it won't be long before you have more agents than you do staff, because it will just build up and up, and you've got to make sure that's done in the right way. It's done safely and it's done effectively to make sure that that adoption journey is fulfilled. And we can work with you throughout that journey.
Yeah, and on that point, really, the best place to start. So if you're just embarking on your Copilot journey, it would be good to kind of check your house is in order, and we can run this Copilot readiness assessment to look into that for you. So that will do a lot of those things that Alex just talked about. It will look about where you're maybe oversharing. It will look about where your security perhaps isn't as good as it should be. So identify any risks before they're exposed to your staff. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about how Copilot could work for you, then that is a good place to start, and we can certainly help you with that. I mentioned that this is a series of webinars. We don't quite know how long this series is going to get yet, but we're already planning part 3. So the next one is going to go a bit deeper into the information governance side. So some of those things we just talked about really. So our colleague Rob is going to join us next time, and he's going to look at things like your retention policies and your life cycle of your data. He's going to be talking much more about good governance and access control, and also the guidance you give your staff and how they understand how to use these tools correctly. So that one's a little way off yet, a bit later in the year, but we're already starting to think about that one. So that's going to be coming soon.
So
we haven't actually had any questions yet, which is a first. So we've either answered everything that people were hoping to learn, or people are a bit shy, one way or another. We haven't had any questions to cover off yet. If you've got anything that you would like to ask, then we'd obviously love to hear from you. We'll be getting in touch over the next day or two as well. So if there's anything that you'd want to talk about with regards to agent use in your organisation, we'd love to hear from you. But probably for now, I think we'll leave it there. So all that remains to say is thanks to Alex and Leon for being here and your expertise, and thanks for everyone for joining us today. And we hope it's been useful to you as well. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you at another event later in the year, and hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.